Greta is a 16-year-old girl who has inspired thousands, maybe even millions of people to stand up for both themselves and the climate.
She thought everything was going in the wrong direction, and now she's become a really big role model for a lot of people.
I look up to her a lot because I think it's so cool what she's doing. And it's time that we actually stood up for the climate and did something instead of just sitting around.
The climate crisis is the biggest crisis humanity has ever faced, and yet it has been ignored for decades. The older people usually say that we owe it to the young people to give them hope. But we don't want you to be hopeful, we want you to panic. They say that they love their children above all else, and yet they are stealing their future in front of their very eyes. The leaders should know that change is coming, whether they like it or not.
One in 4 Americans is skeptical of all the effects of climate change and thinks this issue's been exaggerated.
Environmental annihilation is coming because we've been evil.
You know what this is? It's a snowball.
Some people don't believe the climate crisis. They don't understand that it's real. And I have to say that I understand them in a way, because in the beginning when I first found out about this, I doubted that it was true, because if it was true, then we wouldn't be talking about anything else. That would be our first priority. But it's not. People see it like an abstract threat in the future, but it's happening now. We can already see the changes. We already have increased the temperature above pre-industrial levels 1.2 degrees. Everything is happening very fast now. We need to do something and act as if we were in a crisis, because otherwise people won't understand that we are in a crisis.
So, Greta, thanks to be with us. Hi. You said many times I was like an invisible girl before. Now you are very famous, everybody's here with you and they want you for the Nobel Prize. How did you reach this point, this goal?
In August last year, I decided that this was enough. I sat myself down on the ground outside the Swedish Parliament and I school striked for the climate. I have said that I will continue to school strike every Friday until Sweden is in line with the Paris Agreement. That may take a long time. I will have to be patient and to remind myself of why I'm doing this. The symbolism of the school strike is that since you adults don't give a damn about my future, I won't either. Why should we care for our future when we might not have one? And why should we bother to learn facts when facts don't matter in this society? It's absurd that young people will have to skip school and risk their own education because they are scared of not having a future. And I think that is a very strong message.
You have heard about Greta Thunberg.
Greta Thunberg.
Greta Thunberg.
Greta Thunberg.
Greta Thunberg, thank you very much for joining us this morning.
At first I was all alone, and then people started joining me. And then it started spreading to different places, and then different countries, and then different continents. And then it became global. In December, the UN had a climate change conference, and there I held some speeches. We have run out of excuses and we are running out of time. I think that was also when more people started to find out about the school strikes. And then at the end of January, I was invited to the World Economic Forum. Our house is on fire. And also there I held a speech, which also went, I think, viral. And those two, I think both those two were tipping points of this movement. It has just escalated. And it's going so fast, I can't even keep up with it anymore. Now there's hundreds of thousands of children who are striking from school for their future. When I was 11, I became very depressed. I stopped eating and I stopped talking and I stopped going to school. It had a lot to do with the climate and the environment. I started making changes in my own life, like stop flying, stop eating meat and dairy, and stop buying new things. In order to be able to look myself in the eye, I need to do something myself. I started talking with my parents. After a while, they decided to do that as well. Before I started the school strike, I was that person who was invisible. I never spoke unless I had to. And also, I have Asperger's syndrome. I'm a bit different from everyone else. When you have Asperger's, you also tend to have a capacity of being very focused and interested in some subjects, and that allowed me to focus on one thing for a very long time. I think that if I wouldn't have had Asperger's, I don't think I would have started the school strike, and I don't think I would have been interested in the climate at all. Because if I would have been like everyone else, I just continued like before, not thinking twice about this. But now I can't do that. My conscience doesn't allow me to do that. I think this movement could become very big, and I think that we have just seen the beginning, because more and more people are going to start to realize the emergency of the situation, and they will get angry and they will want to do something about it, especially young people who will understand eventually that their future is being taken from them. Many people say that we are too young to do this, we shouldn't do this, and I agree, we shouldn't have to do this. But in the situation we are in now, we feel like we have to do this because we won't accept you risking our future. If the adults won't take responsibility, then we will have to.